Ready. Good morning, and of course, it's Good Friday. And my name is Precious Chukudi. Welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. And I'll be starting off with Vanguard newspaper this morning. Vanguard is leading with CBN's new capital base, top five banks in 1.5 trillion naira shortfall. Rider says the international commercial banks get 500 billion naira as minimum. National commercial banks are 200 billion naira. Banks giving 24 months deadline. We can see a photo story showing photographs of wanted persons in connection to the killings of 17 Nigerian army personnel at Okuama community in Ogeli South local government area of Delta State on 14th March 2024. And on sport, CAF Confed Cup, USM Oga protests over timing of Rivers United clash. Stories of top UN officials visit CBN governor. And on page 26, name SIM linkage, NCC insists that non-compliant subscribers must be barred today. Confusion as chairman directors fight over sack of Echo Disco MD CEO. Binance executive sues NSA EFCC. Rider says the federal government arraigned Binance two others for alleged tax evasion April 4th. Stories above, Nigeria records the second electricity system collapse in 2024. Okuama, DHQ declares the Delta Monarch militant leader, 6 others wanted. Last on the front page of Vanguard, we have persons in corridor or power behind my ordeal, and that's coming from Olatunji, freed FirstNews Editor. We take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with 6 months on, 76 embassies, 109 foreign missions await new envoys. CBN gives bank 2 years to meet a 500 billion naira new capital base. Reps queries OAGF's payment of 15 billion naira to remitter, accuses CBN of complicity. Last on the front page of The Guardian, IPI, NUJ condemns military abduction of journalists, seeks punishment. We take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is also leading with the CBN raises capital base for mega banks to 500 billion naira. Cardoso gives banks 24 months to recapitalize. National lenders to raise the 200 billion naira, others 50 billion naira. Buhari, National Assembly, Sanwo-Olu orders hail Tinubu at 72. Delta bloodbath, military may place bounty on monarch, others declared wanted. Newspaper. The Nation is leading with banks mergers likely. CBN director 500 billion naira capital base. Rider says Apex Bank expects a roadmap by April 30th. Financial institution gets March 31st, 2026 deadline. And of course, there's a list of types of banks and authorization, old capital and new capital expected from them. Labour Party disowns NLC energized board of trustees. Rider says we didn't monitor program, says INEC, lawmakers defect to PDP. Tinubu lifting Nigeria to enviable heights, says Buhari, governors orders. Eminent Nigerian celebrates president at 72. My life no longer safe, says journalist freed from military custody. Stories above, quality of work on Lagos Calabar Coastal Road excites Umahi. Renewed Hope Initiative lift anti-TB campaign with 1 billion naira. Last on the front page of The Nation, Monarch surrenders Prof. 6 others wanted over soldiers killing. And that's all we can take on the front pages of the papers. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining me still today in the news on Vanguard Live, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Rotimi Ajayi, former regional editor, North Vanguard Media Limited. It's good to have you join me this morning, sir.
Thank you, Precious. How are you? Good morning.
Very well, thank you. All right, so let's delve in. And of course, the top 5 banks have a shortfall of 1.5 trillion naira to meet the new minimum capital base announced by CBN for international commercial banks. Now, according to reports, the minimum capital base for like commercial banks with international authorization rose by 900% to 500 billion naira from 50 billion naira. What's your take on this?
I think we're having some kind of confusion in the figure. When you say they have a shortfall of about 1.5 trillion naira, and now they raised the capital base to 500 billion naira. I think the base indicator should be in billions or trillions. There is no bank in Nigeria now that I guess will be will be expected to have 500 billion naira in terms of capital base. You understand? Because when you look at the economy of Nigeria, I think our economy is far, far bigger than that of 500 billion naira denominations. So if all along our capital base was smaller than that, even what has happened in Nigeria in recent years, I think it is in order for the CBN to raise the capital base of banks, because the capital base essentially helps to cushion against unforeseen circumstances or development in the national economy. And the way we are now, let me give you an instance. The development of rail lines in Lagos alone has a lot of economic impact on the Nigerian economy, and for you to be able to attract more investors in the area, to have confidence in your economy and everything, you understand, we need to have a very solid banking system. And I can tell you that must have been one of the reasons why the CBN decided to take that decision to say, okay, fine, we are raising the capital base of banks in Nigeria. Having a shortfall, I'm not surprised that some banks will not be able to meet up, because in real terms, the banking system in Nigeria has not largely focused on funding large, what you can call large economic projects. Most of the banks in Nigeria, they were doing what you can call rent-seeking banking system. Because if Nigerian banks are focused on developmental projects, our economy should not be in this kind of quagmire that it has been over the years. But now I think we are beginning to see some form of development pattern that nations that are serious have been taking in Nigeria now. So I think it's a commendable effort on the part of CBN.
All right, moving on now. The defense headquarters declared wanted 8 persons over their roles in the recent killing of 17 military personnel in Okuama, of which, in swift reaction, human rights lawyer Femi Falana, has said that the military lacks powers to declare anybody wanted. What's your take?
But the constitution is so clear, you understand. Our laws are very clear about about who can declare somebody wanted, who cannot declare somebody wanted. I think you need the courts, you need the judiciary to stand in to be able to make that declaration. You cannot just say because you are an authority, you have the power. Yes, the military has the power to arrest, but your arrest power does not include civilian arrest. It doesn't mean you can operate within the country and then you can just say branded in Nigeria and then say because you have the power, you have the gun, you have everything. No, you still have to go through the normal judicial process. And I think that's what Femi Falana is trying to say. It is wrong. Those days when we used to use, when we were using power in a very how do I call it? When we were using power recklessly and we were not following order and rules and regulations should be into, go in Nigeria. We cannot allow our security institutions to operate without recourse to rules and regulations.
All right, moving on. Yesterday, Nigeria records second electricity system collapse in 2024, and in 2023, we experienced at least 3 nationwide blackouts, and it seems to be a recurring problem year on year, and it seems like there's no solution to it, and you just find out that we've heard that national grid has collapsed. What's your take? How do you think that things like that should be resolved in the power sector?
I do not think that we have reliable or stable power system that you can count on yet. I remember when President Buhari was there, I guess, Buhari or President Yaradua Jonathan, that's when they were building new transmission lines to carry electricity across Nigeria. Right now, I'm not sure we have competent or efficient generating capacity in the country to be able to say, okay, we have electricity system that we can rely on. When you talk about the generation system, our capacity is still lacking. and we talk about distribution system, our network, the infrastructure for distribution of electricity in Nigeria is like when you know what they call flexible cable. Flexible cable cannot carry substantial or very strong energy or electricity. Our system in Nigeria, our infrastructure in terms of carriage of electricity from one point, from generation point to the end user is still very low. These are some of the areas that are calling for investment. The federal government has been talking about that, and then I think the state governments should begin to look at what can we do now, because I think President Buhari signed a law that allowed that decentralized generation and distribution of electricity before he left, and then President Tinubu, I guess I read it, had made an announcement that any state now can go out into generation of electricity and distribution. So every state now should look at electricity generation distribution as a worthwhile investment venture to develop their respective states. So if we continue like this, we continue to rely on some of the structures that were put in place during President Obasanjo. You understand? We'll continue to have failure of our system, collapse of our grid. So I think we should begin to decentralize the grid, and then, if you have Ikeja electricity and Ikeja is generating, or Lagos is generating electricity and buying its own electricity from maybe Benin or Ondo State or wherever, you understand, it will be easier, you understand, to maintain that, because you are in it as a business. As it is now, some of these electricity distribution companies are in it as exploiters. They are exploiting Nigerians. They are now actually giving the electricity, and at the end of the day, they are taking so much money from Nigerians. So I do not see how we can sustain the system. That's just it.
All right, moving on. The editor of a First News newspaper, Mr. Olatunji, has claimed that his recent abduction and detention was connected to his journalistic work, which displeased certain powerful individuals. What's your take? And also with your journalistic experiences, maybe you can relate some of the things that you've seen in the line of work.
I am not going to dispute what Olatunji said, but I cannot equally confirm that what he said, was in fact from my own understanding. He was the one that was in there, and when you wear the shoe, you know where it pushes you. I do know that when you get into the hands of those characters, I want to call them gendarmes, you understand, it is not usually a pot of soup that you lick and enjoy, you understand, because being arrested by any of the Nigerian security outfit, be it police, SSS, or the military, you understand, it's not usually for when you are a journalist. I happen to have been in that kind of situation before, myself and the former labor editor of Vanguard newspaper, Mrs. Fome Komolafe. We had an encounter with the Nigerian police during Tafa Balogun, you understand? And we were lucky we were not detained, we were not in their detention, you understand? So, but for Segun Olatunji, I will not be surprised that what he's saying is correct, you understand? But again, it goes to show what we are saying here. For how long are we going to continue to maintain the residue problem of military? This thing was left behind by military. We are claiming to be a democratic nation, and there's no way we can continue to allow our institutions to continue to operate outside the law and order. The military is not excused from following laws and order. If you have a problem with a particular publication or a broadcast item from any media house, all you need to do is approach the appropriate authorities and then let them take action. And in this realm, the appropriate authorities, whether you are the NBC, NCC, or whatever, Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation or Nigerian Press Council, they should be able to act swiftly and in a transparent manner. Everybody will know that, okay, fine, every cause that is reported to them is being judiciously pursued. We cannot. If we continue to allow the military to just seize somebody without following rules, following law and order, because a journalist has published something, that is not the right way to go in a democratic system.
All right, we keep talking about freedom of the press, and yet again, journalists keep experiencing situations like this where powerful individuals, try to stifle the media. What is the way forward?
Powerful individuals will continue to stifle publications, freedom of the press, of expression, or operations of media houses. The reason is that the press itself is like an ombudsman. Is a gatekeeper that ensures that those who are powerful do not oppress those who are less capable. So when you have powerful people in positions of power in Nigeria, let me use that as an example. It's not only in Nigeria that it happens to, it happens elsewhere, but it's just that the case of Nigeria is still reflecting the kind of system we were operating under, the misfit characters like Babangida administration, Abacha administration, but now what we need to do is the way forward is for the Nigerian press, Nigerian Union of Journalists, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, all the various press bodies to be very strong, in advocating for the right and being there for every journalist in the country. We might need to do some kind of housekeeping among us. What do I mean by housekeeping? There's been some kind of recklessness on the part of online media recently, and that may inadvertently bring some kind of problem for the general practice of the media in the country. When you're talking about mainstream media, there is a lot of control, checks and balances within the system. So the Guild of Editors, the publisher, online publishers in the country will need to sit together and make sure they police their members and guide their members appropriately, so that we do not run foul of the law, so that we do not allow the military institutions, the security institutions to begin to go after journalists when they get published. That somebody is occupying a position of authority does not give the person the power to just give a command that somebody should be arrested. If you have a problem against any publication, you have what you can call redressal approach, redressal methodology, in which case there are procedures for you to follow in which you can seek redress from any publication. So that's the best way to go. We cannot build our democracy on whims and caprices of somebody who just wake up one day and say, go and get that guy arrested. No, it doesn't matter who you are, you understand? Even the president does not have the power to give a command that gets somebody arrested. There are procedures to follow as a president of Nigeria.
All right. So how best do you think that the media can continue to uphold its mission to serve as a watchdog and, still carry out its other responsibilities?
I have just said it. First of all, we need to introspect and make sure we get our members to follow the ethics of journalism. Okay? When you follow the ethics properly, it will give you a strong arm to battle. It will give you the necessary weapons to confront this situation. Nigeria is still an environment where we need very strong journalism. And I must say that journalism in Nigeria is quite vibrant and very strong compared to some other countries in Africa. Even when you compare it to that of the United States, believe me, Nigerian journalists they can hold their own anywhere, anytime. So, but we need to sit down and ensure that we continue to, train our members. We continue to get them to imbibe the ethics of the profession, and then continue to make sure we have a monitoring system in place to be able to get whoever goes against the ethical procedure, how we can get the person to quickly get back to normalcy. This is the way to go. But I mean, any other thing, we cannot just leave it to what you call market forces in practice. We must have competent control in the media world.
All right. Moving on, let's touch on this one now. Detained the Binance executive Tigran Gambarion has sued the National Security Advisor NSA Nuhu Ribadu and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC over alleged violation of his fundamental right. Also, Nadim Anjawala, that's the Binance Africa regional manager who escaped from lawful custody, filed a separate right enforcement suit before Justice Eko. What do you think about this Binance situation and the escape and everything that comes with it?
It is condemnable that somebody who was alleged to have committed some infractions against the national economy will be in custody of any institution at all in Nigeria, and the person will be let loose in the name of escaping. How do you escape from a security detention in Nigeria? I mean, whoever is responsible, whoever is in authority from the very unit where that guy escaped from, by now should not be wearing any uniform if it's a uniform outfit. If it's not a uniform outfit, they should have cleaned the table completely from whoever commander it is all the way down. You understand? It is lamentable that you see somebody is arrested, somebody is in custody, and the person escaped from your custody. That's being said. Now, when you look at it, they have the fundamental right under the Constitution. It doesn't matter whether you are in Nigeria or you are not in Nigeria. You have the fundamental right. I mean, you have the obligation to enforce your right. So it's good that they have gone to the court. You understand? The court will determine the appropriateness of the right or not of their being detained or being arrested. But that guy escaped is what we should focus on. How, if we say we want a developed country, I'm not saying anybody should just be arrested and be kept in detention, no. But if somebody is in custody, the person should be charged to court immediately. And once the person is charged to court, we know the appropriate steps to be taken before you can say, okay, I mean, that the person can, okay, fine, enjoy your freedom, but the person cannot run away, cannot jump bail. So it is, I do not understand it. It still begets understanding that somebody who is in custody and the person escaped from Nigerian custody. I don't understand it. How?
All right, Mr. Rotimi. Let's take a look at Mr. and Mrs. before we go. And Mrs. is speaking. She says, by now I should own a car. It's not nice for me to do nothing when you warm your car every morning. And Mr. replies, I don't like Mr's reply though. He says, you can warm the soup.
Is an instrument, it's an equipment, you understand, to empower human being by moving you from one point to the other. The soup is equally an equipment, so to say, to give you energy to be able to do something. So both of them are equipment for you to do something. So why don't you like the response of Mr. that you can warm the soup? Well, it's a little bit feminine anyway. Yeah. You understand? But then it's feminine, but then it is still, I think it's a very good response to Madam that look, okay, fine. You see, when you do not know how to drive and I allow you to touch my car, something can go bad and I begin to look for money to rectify it. And cost of things are so high now. So the soup, you are very competent at managing the soup, the other side. Let me manage this other side. Both of them are offices.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Rotimi Ajayi, former regional editor, North Vanguard Media Link. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thank you, Madam Precious. I hope we'll get to meet again next week. All right. Have a nice weekend.
Yeah, also remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To find out today's stories, go to our website, www.vanguardindia.com, to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you.